Okay, I finally get to show you my 5 oldest whiskeys in my collection. Now, they're all scotches, surprise, surprise, because it's hard to get American whiskeys and other things that are this old without paying a fortune. My youngest of the oldest is a 20-year Ballechin. You guys know I like Edradour. Well, this is Edradour's peated version. So, Ballechin first fill port pipe matured. This is 54.7% alcohol. There is 691 bottles of this thing, and it was distilled in 2004. So it was just bottled just last summer, and I haven't cracked it yet. But if you know anything about Edradour, they make incredible stuff. Now, I got this on the Whiskey World website. I'm pretty sure I spent like 170 bucks on this, which is an insane price, considering the fact that in the States, they sell Edradour 10 Oloroso for $190. Okay, so let's put that into perspective. But probably the best distillate created in Scotland. Like, I'm sorry, they are quickly becoming my absolute top distillery that I grab and go for now. But with that port pipe, you're gonna get a lot of sweet character mixed in with that peat. Now, Highland peat is different than Islay peat, but it is still very good. And like, I have a 12-year Oloroso of Ballechin, and that is just great. I am really curious how maybe some of the smaller port pipe barrels, 8 years longer in port, is gonna just make this taste. I cannot wait to open it. And actually, I think the ppms of Ballechin is around 45. I'll edit it on the screen for you now if I got it wrong. I probably did because I'm stupid. But yes, my goal for maybe the rest of this year is to get an older Edradour, so not a peated one, and kind of compare the two and see just how they differ, because like it's the same distillate, it's just one has a peated malt and one doesn't. So that's my youngest of the oldest, 20-year Ballechin. All right, these next two are both 25 years, but let's go with this one. Laphroaig 25 from 2019. This is 51.4% alcohol, entirely in ex-bourbon, and my goodness. I gotta review this guy up here. It is one of the most soft, velvety, sweet, older Islas that I've ever had. And people have been saying lately that they prefer these younger Laphroaigs than some of the older ones, like the 32, the 34. And I'm a guy that really wants to get me an old 34. Actually had a chance to do that video up here as well, but I didn't do that. So this guy was $650, which 25 years, that's a pretty good price, especially if we compare it to the next guy coming up. This is a very good whiskey. 25 years in an ex-bourbon barrel really cut through any of that like really smoky influence. Like the Laphroaig peat isn't quite as like intense as like an Ardbeg or a Lagavulin peat, but it's still there. So this being in that ex-bourbon is just so silky, creamy, smooth. I really like this bottle. It's getting really close to being gone, and I just am gonna be so sad about it. Now, this is my next oldest. The next one is the same age. Now we get to Ardbeg 25, another peated Islay. Now, this is 46% alcohol, and it is also entirely ex-bourbon. So a really good comparison video that I also did up here in a review of this bottle. And I said initially that I really didn't enjoy this as much as say the Laphroaig, but I actually did a recent video of old peated Islays, and this thing, I blind tasted those, and I picked this one over the Laphroaig. So it has now grown on me. It has now opened up a bit. It still has that peat punch that you would get from an Ardbeg, but it's also silky and creamy and just sweet and really nice. This one has more in it, obviously, because I was really into the Laphroaig for a while, but this is also still very good. The problem being, the pricing of Ardbeg is a little wacky. This guy was $900, so a full $250 more than the Laphroaig 25, and I'm like, value-wise, Laphroaig's better. This might hold up, obviously, with the taste, but man, seeing that at that much money, like, I mean, I get they have like this cool, you know, they had a cool box with it. They had a cool, the bottle is really nice looking. I like the purple, but it's just weird pricing scenarios. And I actually just saw on whiskeyworld.com a 15-year-old Ardbeg for like $1,600. I don't get it. But anyway, the next one is definitely older than this. Now, what about this one? I was only a year older than it. This is a 33-year Scotch. Swing. Look at that. Now this is a Highland Scotch from a distillery called Balblair. And I got this from the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society, and this was $1,000. Now, when you compare the fact this 25-year-old Ardbeg is only like $100 less than a 33-year, that's wild. This is also cask strength because it's from the Scotch Malt Whiskey Society. This is 62.3% alcohol, and it was entirely in refill X bourbon barrels, and it was distilled in 1989, before I was even born. So this is a fantastic bottle. I reviewed this guy up here or in the description, whatever. I gave this guy a perfect score, spoiler alert, but it is just so freaking fantastic. The amount of fruit, the amount of chewy mouthfeel, the finish, the nose, just everything. Everything about this when I drank it was just perfect. It is just so, so good. Balblair makes, I think, probably top 5 distillate in Scotland. You can kind of see a theme here. I'm going Islay and Highland with this. I always thought that like Campbelltowns was my second favorite region, but it feels like Highland is like kind of taken over that. But I think that's because some really good Campbelltowns are Springbanks, and I just can't get them because they have the secondary bourbon market issue where they're not available anywhere, and if they are stupid amounts of money. Again, I said this was $1,000. I sold my house in 2024. I sold my house in 2023. So when I got the equity from that, took a little bit off the top, and got this guy. Again, I don't just buy these just to buy these. I'm smart with my money. Don't buy things that you can't afford. So sold a house, I can just take a little bit off of that, get this cool bottle. But this used to be my oldest whiskey. And I will say that it also is kind of low. Make me a little sad. The next whiskey, I am 35, is older than me. And now for my oldest whiskey. Boom. A 48-year Bunnahabhain. I just got this today. I got it from the whiskeyworld.com. Video up here. I used tax return money for this. Normally I wouldn't spend this much money on a bottle, but this was $1,520, which for a 48-year Scotch is kind of incredible. It is a full 15 years older than the Balblair. Now, I haven't had it obviously yet, but this is an incredible color. It has spent 48 years in an Oloroso sherry butt, and my God, I cannot wait for this. I have not figured out if it is peated yet. I don't think it's peated, because normally they tell you on the bottles, but I don't care if it is or not. This is gonna be incredible. Now, I am having, if you're watching this on a Friday, I am having at 7:30 tonight a whiskey stream with my Scotch father. This guy is gonna be in attendance. I might open this up and try it live today. Just depends on what happens during the stream. So if you're interested, stay tuned. But again, this thing was freaking distilled in 1975. I just cannot fathom that. So definitely the oldest and coolest bottle in my collection right now. This is a signatory vintage, a really, really reputable bottler. Has a 92.26 out of 100 rating on Whiskey Base, which is a good site. So I truly, truly, truly cannot wait to get my lips and tongue on this thing and my nose, because color on this thing is just gorgeous. And there you have it. The 5 oldest whiskeys in my collection. Not a surprise that they're all Scotches. Now, I want to know, what are the oldest whiskeys that you have in your collection? Now again, age doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be better than some other things. It's just kind of cool to think about the history, when things were bottled, when things were distilled, and all that kind of stuff. So the fact this thing right here in 1975, this guy 89, to me is just super cool to have that kind of history on my shelves. Like these little exposés and stuff in my collection videos, make sure you let me know with a comment and a like. Not subscribed yet? Make sure you do so. One of the best ways to support me. And as always, I will see you guys next time.